So the exchange does a whole variety of things, including the consulting. We've held a number of events, salons at people's houses. We had Brian Greene, expert on string theory, come and talk with us. We had Seth MacFarlane host a salon about evolutionary biology. And I mean, these are events where people show up at 7 o'clock and we can't get them out of the house at midnight. They're just hanging out talking. We do screenings. We partnered with the WGA, the Writers Guild, the Directors Guild, the Producers Guild. We've done screenings on movies like Valentine's Day. What's the science in Valentine's Day? The science of love. What about George Romero's Survival of the Dead was another one we did. The science of zombieism. We try to find ways into stories and explain the science in such a different manner. We've consulted on a number of films. Iron Man 2 was a big one. They came to us and said, we have a key part at the end of our movie, and we know what it is, we know what we want it to do, but we don't know what it is. And so we sat them down with a bunch of scientists and helped them figure out to use a laser, and it would work this way. And they actually had our scientist bring his laser on set, and they used it. And Marvel Comics has just been over the moon about the exchange, and we've consulted on Thor, and we're consulting on the Avengers, and we're consulting on Spider-Man 4. We've consulted on a number of television shows, Lost, Fringe, Peter Berg's Battleship movie. It's going to be a big one probably in the next year or so. Tron Legacy, which is coming out at the end of this year, we were consultants on. So now we're really starting to explore these relationships and see what more we can do. So the Zuckers and National Academy of Sciences and some other people have started exploring how can we incorporate more education into this? How can we use entertainment content to explore educational formats? So one of our ideas is creating, on films, short little modules where we get the stars of these movies to sit down with scientists and we film a short little 2-minute bit and we can throw it up online. And it's project-based learning, where they can have a dialogue. It's not a scientist lecturing, but a 2-minute little short clip of Brad Pitt or Angelina Jolie or Will Smith or Russell Crowe talking with the scientist and helping you understand the science behind their movie or their television show, whatever it might be. And we're gonna post them online and make them accessible to teachers all across the country and hopefully the world. You can pull this off of the web, show it to your class, and it just creates an opportunity for a whole new learning experience. The level of commitment that the entertainment community has is very high. And they've shown it by all of the work they're starting to put in. And a lot of my colleagues in Hollywood have certain reputations that they can't get past. But one thing no one will ever doubt about a lot of my colleagues is their passion. And their passion to deliver a message and to deliver it accurately and correctly. And we are starting to portray science in a much more positive manner because science and entertainment are two sides of the same creative coin. And if we want our stories to be engaging, it makes sense for us to go, as the old adage says, straight to the source. Truth is stranger than fiction. So why don't we start getting our truths from those experts, from those scientists? Thank you. I'm here.
You've pointed out the motivations of both sides for the dialogue. I'd be curious about your post-release experiences. So is the feedback on finished product, on finished movies, part of your exchange as well?
You know, something that we haven't focused on, which I guess is in a way similar to Doron and the Sloan Foundation, we haven't really put a lot of focus on seeing those results. We want, we want to get the science out there creatively. We want to put accurate lasers in Iron Man so that the scene makes sense. But we haven't really so far been in the business of tracking it. And that's where, people like Marty, who's going to talk to you a little bit later, something that he does a little more along those lines is tracking the results. We've tried to put our focus a little bit more on, just getting the science out there and to the entertainment community, to the Hollywood community. The same way the Sloan Foundation has just been about, he doesn't care who makes it, as long as somebody makes it. whether it's them involved or whether it's not them involved. And we're the same way. I think as long as we're getting the filmmakers and the showrunners actually reaching across the line to the scientists, we don't care if it's us consulting on them or not. We don't need the credit. As long as they're actually taking that step. We're trying to make it easier for them, but we're not going to, our main focus is allowing it to be a resource versus right now tracking it to see how it's performing.
Are there questions for Sean?
Yes.
Yes, in the back.
Thank you. I wonder, when you say to get it right, it sounds as if there's one way to get it right. One of my best friends is a chemist, and when you have two chemists in one room, they will differ on many.
Oh yeah.
So it's so how you deal with this? Are there also discussions about who's going to be the one who tells Iron Man 2 how they do this laser?
There's always going to be topics that some people are going to feel are right, and another person is going to feel it's wrong. You know, we like to expose, you know, our consults, our writers, our directors, and showrunners, anybody who reaches out to us. We'll expose them to as many scientists as we need to expose them to make sure that they're getting something that is as accurate as it can be, but balanced out with the, you know, the creative process and needing to make sure we have a dramatic story. But you're absolutely right. A lot of times there are differing opinions, and sometimes we're going to have times where it may not be exactly right, but it may be close enough, and we had to take some creative license, or it may be accurate in some people's eyes and not in others. You know, I'm sure there's a lot of movies I could go through that they didn't quite get the science right, but they got some science right. Armageddon was an example. You know, a lot of scientists, you know, the fact that they're trying to land on an asteroid, they're trying to, you know, ricochet around the moon and get behind the asteroid and land on it, and you know, it's raining on an asteroid and it's hailing. You know, none of that makes sense. But they got other science right, how they were drilling, and you know, whether they're drilling on an asteroid or drilling in, you know, the ocean or on land, they were getting at least some of it right. And if we're moving in that direction where we're getting some of it right, even if sometimes there's differing opinions, that's okay. At least it's a step in a positive direction. So when I say we want to get it right, you know, right is a somewhat relative term towards who you ask it to. So, you know, we just hope to get it as right as we can, depending on whose view it is.
One more technical question. You talked about the 1-800 number and the possibility to call for consulting. Can anyone, any script writer, call you, or do I have to be a registered member? Or?
No, it's a completely free resource to anybody. The number isn't actually 1-800-SCIENTIST, so don't try dialing that. We do have a website, scienceandentertainmentexchange.org. I believe Anne from the National Academy has put some flyers out there that you guys can pick up. But it was important to us that it was a resource for everybody, because there are so many great creative people out there who are trying to make it in the business, not just the Spielbergs and the J.J. Abrams and the Doug Lymans of the world. There are others who are trying to make it, and we can't deny them the opportunity to talk to an expert scientist. And now, granted, we might, you know, if Steven Spielberg calls, we're going to put him in touch with Brian Greene. But if Joe Schmo from the middle of Montana calls saying, I want to write a script and I need some help, we might not put him in touch with Brian Greene, but we're still going to get him an expert. It might be a grad student from Caltech who still is going to know a lot more than anybody else. So we're a resource for everybody, no matter what level you're at, no matter what questions you have.
So Sean, you know that if you're going to get some calls from Germany in the near future, it's the result of your appearance today.
If you guys are more than welcome to call. If we can help you get it right, we're more than welcome to. One here and one back there.
Okay.
Thank you for your presentation again. I was very triggered about this idea to make a clip of this interview with this famous movie star and a scientist. I think this is excellent. We had a little bit experience of this taping conversations behind the scenes, but then with famous Dutch actors. How do you do with the copyright? Because we were phoned by the agents of these famous actors and say, well, you're putting something on the internet and you put it on your website, and well, if we knew that before, we would have charged you money for this. So I was just curious, are they voluntarily saying to you, just put it on the website?
No, it's a good question, and you know, that particular program is in the infant stages. We're still developing it, but it's certainly going to be a question. You know, we don't plan on doing this for profit. So hopefully that will encourage them, because it's not like we're going to be making money and we need to give them $1 of every 10. So hopefully that will encourage them. We're also trying to be optimistic that the actors out there might have kids or might have some sort of sympathy towards kids who and feel that it's important that they actually learn. So we're just going to sort of bank on their willingness and openness to do it. There's something that we have on all of our movies called EPK, which is Electronic Press Kit. And that's the little group that in a 90-day shoot, they show up just a couple days and they do the behind-the-scenes footage and they interview all the actors, and that's what's used for the DVD extras when the movie comes out, the bonus footage. So what we hope to do is have the studios or whoever's making the film, the financiers, they'll just pay the EPK crew what they're already paying them and have them shoot a little bit extra. So that way there aren't any costs, additional costs involved, except for maybe flying in the science experts, which the Science and Entertainment Exchange will handle. We'll take care of that. We'll take care of developing the curriculum. But no, you're right. Reaching out to these actors is going to be difficult, and convincing them to actually take that step. And we're hoping that they're, out of the goodness of their heart, they're going to be willing to do that, to take maybe an extra 10 or 15 minutes. But I'm sure we're going to come up against some of the diva actors and actresses that we've all worked with in some way or another. You know, and hopefully they'll be able to get past that, because I think, you know, I mean, I've worked with Sean Penn, who is a very challenging person to work with, but you can see the passion he has, you know, with everything that's happened in Haiti. And whether you agree with his methods or not, what you can't disagree with is his willingness to actually do something, and his selflessness. While he may be selfish in other areas, he's selfless about that. So we would just hope that the actors would be willing to help us out.
I'm so sorry that I have to be the bad guy, but we have to go on now, as we have to close in time for our movie screening tonight.
Okay.
So thank you so much, Sean, for being here and sharing this with us.
Thank you, guys.